Thank you so much for having me. I think that it is crucial that we understand that Black trans people have been the blueprint for the struggle for Black freedom for forever. We
What?
You used me, Skinner! You used me!
How? Where are these people getting these ideas? Where? How? Right? So, one thing I find interesting about the whole transgender situation is that, like I said, I respect their decision and their right to do what they want to do and do what makes them happy. But why are you infringing this on other people? Like, I've even come across a couple of examples where it's even infringing on Black folks. Like, they're trying to make this an issue with Black folks, right? And the bottom line is, you can be transgender all you want, right? But when you're Black, you're targeted because you're Black and not because you're a Black transgender. That has nothing to do with it. If anything, you're going to get the benefit of the doubt, maybe a little more than a non-transgender Black person. So I saw this interesting interview that happened a while back with two transgender activists speaking on the Black Lives Matter issue. Now, you guys know, well, I don't have a ton of subscribers at this point, but for anyone that has followed the show, you know that I've spoken on the fact that Black Lives Matter is not an organization that truly looks out for Black people. They are an LGBTQ organization that funds LGBTQ issues under the guise of advocating for Black men, most of them being heterosexual. I think all of them being heterosexual. They take those issues, they receive funding for advocating for those issues, and they spend the money on LGBTQ organizations. And the money that's left over, the founders take for themselves and buy $1 million homes in California. Now, granted, I don't knock the hustle, I don't knock the hustle at all. But I've been trying to tell Black folks since the dawn of this thing that this organization is not for us. And I want to get into another clip that'll show you, like, this thing is real. Like, people are really these people are really just using us for their own agenda. Right? And our issues are being infiltrated by this. So let me find the clip real quick. Give me 1 second. Let me find this damn thing. All right. All right, here we go. Check this out.
I believe in our power. I believe in Black trans power.
Now, this is at a Black Lives Matter rally. This is a Black Lives Matter rally, right? a rally supposedly there to advocate for black men, 100% of them being heterosexual black men that are being killed, who have been unarmed and been killed for no reason. But this is a keynote speaker.
Thank you.
I believe in black trans power.
Joining me now are two of the organizers of that Brooklyn March you just heard, Raquel Willis and Ian Field Stewart. Both
Fair use, fair use, fair use.
of them are writers and activists, and we're glad to have you here. So, Raquel, that's a pretty mind-numbing figure. 16 transgender and gender nonconforming people killed so far this year that we know of.
Let me stop this right here. I can't even believe they actually put this stat on the camera. 2017, 2018, the number has gone down every year, right? You're talking about 29 people out of 40 million black folks. Oh, excuse me. This is not even black folks. You're talking about 29 people. Okay. So one of the clips earlier said there's roughly 2 million transgender people in America. 29 of them killed by violence. It doesn't say how they were killed by violence. They don't even give you, because it's such a low number. They could actually probably give you the details of each and every one of these cases because the numbers are so low. But they just tell you they were killed by violence. You don't know why they were killed. You don't know what altercations they were in. You don't even know who killed them. It just said transgender or gender nonconforming people killed by violence. So these stats alone are misleading because there's no context behind any of this. There's no context behind any of this. I mean, to even put this stat up when you're talking about Black Lives Matter, right? First of all, they're not even talking about black transgender. They're talking about transgenders, period. To put these stats up when you're talking about Black Lives Matter is disrespectful because in DC alone last year, 300-something motherfuckers got killed. 300-something. What are we talking about? Out of the 29, 27, 26, and 16 in 2020, how many of those transgender people were even black? See, this is dangerous. See, now they're trying to conflate transgenderism with being black, and it's not the same thing at all. So not only are they infiltrating womanhood, they're also infiltrating blackness. And once again, let me repeat, I'm not here to disparage anyone. I'm here to point out the facts and make logical assertions and start the conversation about what's really going on here. What's really going on here? That's what's important. What's really going on here? Look at this. Read it for yourself. That's pretty mind-numbing. Okay. All right, let's play the rest of the clip.
How can the change that we're seeing in many cities and in some cases in states as well translate to protections, to change for the trans community?
Well, thank you. And thank you for having me, Chris. I think one of the big things we have to remember is that obviously we've seen a lot of strides in legislation, a lot of strides in terms of visibility, but we need to have more funding going to Black trans-led organizations.
More funding.
And Black trans organizers.
16 people killed in 2020. And we need more funding for specifically Black transgender people. And you know that money's not going to go to the Black transgenders. It's going to go to all transgenders which is going to basically equate to white transgenders. No black transgenders will see the money.
If we don't have that, we won't see the solutions that we need to solve this epidemic of violence.
What are those solutions? What are you looking for if you have a checklist of things that you see as doable in this moment?
Absolutely. Well, last year I published the Trans Obituaries Project with Out magazine. It put forth a 13-point framework on how we can end the epidemic of violence. I think part of it is getting media literacy, right? A lot of times we don't even know who all has been attacked, who is in the community. And so we need that, but we also need to build up the economic empowerment.
So wait a minute. You want this funding and you haven't even done enough research to know who all has been attacked. But they're just supposed to hand you money. So your research is not even complete. You haven't even finished your research and you're advocating for funds on the backs of BLM, which was allegedly started because black men were being killed unjustly.
Of black transgender people. If we don't do that, we can't have the spaces.
Let me pause this again. This is so freaking selfish. This is so freaking selfish. This is why I like I said, I have no problem with anyone who's LGBTQIA, whatever the rest of the letters are. No problem. Live your life. It's the political machine that I disagree with. They're literally sucking the blood out of black movements to take for themselves, leaving black people in the same position they've been in. But this who y'all rock with.
To move all of the different ways of ending the violence, whether it's in the state system, whether you're incarcerated or detained, or whether you're facing violence in your own home. We have to have a holistic framework that touches on all of these different ways that we are impacted.
So, Ian, do you feel like this is a moment that brings an opportunity? I know, some cities are marking Pride this weekend. There are rallies around the trans community in Chicago, a Black Trans Lives Matter rally planned for this weekend. How are Pride and the definition of what Pride is maybe different?
Look at the blood sucking. You're already black. So if you're supporting a Black Lives Matter rally, why do you then need to piggyback that and have a Black Trans Lives Matter? As if the fact that you're trans makes you different from black. Why?
Or newly focused this year, given how much there's been conversations about racial injustice?
Thank you so much for having me. I think that it is crucial that we understand that Black trans people have been the blueprint for the struggle for Black freedom for forever.
What?
You used me, Skinner! You used me!
How? Where are these people getting these ideas? Where? How? How? Forever? Look at the broad statements that they make. Let's go back. A little bit more.
I think that it is crucial that we understand that Black trans people have been the blueprint for the struggle for Black freedom for forever.
Let's continue.
The founders of Trees Colors, Opal Tumanti, all three of them started Black Lives Matter with the intention of Black trans women.
Look at that. you see that? Did you see that overhead?
And being at the center of this work. As the movement has grown and as time has passed, we've perhaps moved away from that in some ways, but I think that in general, we have to understand that this moment that we are experiencing requires and necessitates the presence, uplifting, and empowerment of Black trans people.
You used me, Skinner! You used me!
And I think that the moment that we find ourselves in is one that I hope has longevity and continues to move forward.
We've only got a minute left, but give us some specifics about how people can do that. Because let's say I'm an ally. I've done my research. I've familiarized myself with the struggle of trans people. Maybe even I've donated or I've utilized my...
The struggle of trans, not Black trans, not Black people. Once again, looking at BLM to BLM trans to trans. This is how it happens every time. It happens. Black women to Black feminist to feminist. And when it goes to feminist, who does it go to? Keep falling for the same banana in the tailpipe.
Privilege. What specific step would you say to people that they can do individually?
Something I often say, because I get this question a lot, which is, and I have to repeat it over and over, which is that just as we cannot ask Black people to undo racism because white people were the inventors of racism, we cannot ask trans people to deconstruct transphobia because we did not create it. So I think that the most necessary step is in someone who wants to be an ally.
Hold on now. Let's go back to let's go back to what she just said.
Deconstruct transphobia because we did not create it. So I think that the most...
You didn't create it. Okay.
Most necessary step is in someone who wants to be an ally to Black trans lives is for that person to understand what does it take for you to make the lives of Black trans people crucial and important? What does it take for you to inspire yourself to do the necessary work that Black trans people have had to do to learn our own history? Because we don't just get taught our history. We have to look.
They have made this, or they are in the process of making this, a whole different ethnic group. Black folks, this has nothing to do with you. See, I'm gonna keep it a buck for a second, right? I look at people who talk like this as traitors. Black folks in general have a claim, right? Hundreds of years in this country, we've definitely been oppressed. But when you have these splinter groups, right? Pay attention to them, because their only concern is their splinter group. When there's a whole group of, when you see other groups, like there's trans Asian people, there's trans Hispanic people. I don't know if there's any trans Arabs, but I'm pretty sure anything's possible, right? You don't hear any of these people advocating selfishly like this. Latino groups in America advocate for Latinos. Asian groups in America advocate for Asians. Black trans groups, whole different group. Give us the money. To do what? To do what? Gives me traitor vibes.
You used me, Skinner! You used me!
Hey, you've just seen a quick snippet of Trippin' Ain't Easy podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe for the full episode of this podcast and other content. Also, don't forget to comment below. Your feedback is appreciated.